I came to London in 1951 to study piano tuning at the London Polytechnic. Old-timers who were here before me, like Clary Wares, he's from Trinidad, Bosco Holder, El Mundo Ross, all these people had made a name in London. And it's a shortage of black musicians. And I started to get in demand to do little gigs. So I soon gave up the piano tuning. An agent saw me and said, well, could you form a band? Left over from Taspo was still in Bettencourt. I thought this would be good to bring Pan into. So he had a couple of old pans and he brought them along. And he never played drums, straight drums before, but I showed him a few things and he showed me the different pans, how they work. We got a bass player. What I was looking to do, because we had to keep things small, so they had to play an instrument besides the pan. So that's what I did. So Sterling played the drums and also the pan. The bass player, Max Jerry, at the time, he played the bass and also played the pan, and I played the piano, played the pan.
Somehow we got together because as from Trinidad, people say that, Russ is here and Sterling, you here, you have steel drum, and why don't you get together? And anyhow, we got together, and a chap by the name of Mervyn Constantine. He brought up some two pans, and my brother see about it for me in Trinidad. When we had a trio, and so the first steel band in London, we made a record called Ping Pong Samba. That was our first record, and we sent it down to Trinidad, and everybody was happy.
The carnival in London's Notting Hill takes place over 2 days. It has been running for more than 50 years and is easily Europe's largest street event, attracting over 1 million people.
You could say 64, 65, that's when Mr. Laslett really started the Children's Carnival. That was nothing to do with Notting Hill Carnival. It eventually came to Notting Hill Carnival from that.
So yes, Mrs. Laslett asked me if I could come and play for these kids. So I asked the other guys in the band, which were Ralph, Cherry, and Sterling Bettencourt, and they agreed. I mean, those days we promoting Pan. We working, but we're still doing a lot of charity. Now, what is significant is that it was in April. It was a Sunday and it was for kids. So I went to the street. She had the street barred off. There's two ends, juggler, donkey, little kids, the usual thing. And we had Pan Long Neck playing our usual Caribbean songs. Well, after a little time, I thought, well, let's try a little walk. So I asked, could we move the barriers and just make a little walk? She said, yeah, that's a good idea. But when we started walk, street shoppers and some different people's Sunday were going around. Just saw us and looking on to see this band. And do you know that was the biggest march? We went from Macklem Road all along Queensway, straight into Holland Park and right back up Ladbroke Road and came back.
People coming from church, jumping in with their handbag and going down the road because there's steel band on the road. And when we're going down Ladbroke Grove and the police looking through the window of the police station while we're going down, and the crowd is just joining in, everybody and the police and them looking through the window. They must have said, we didn't know anything about that.
Pan, but we used to play with Pan Long Neck. That's the biggest. And the kids following us, and even police stopping the cars to let us pass, nothing.
People in the street were saying, why don't you go back to your country? What are you demonstrating for? They didn't know that it's supposed to be a carnival thing, and it's just gone wild. We just enjoying ourselves.
And just for nobody in costume, only rooms, I'm pretty sure. When we got back, Mrs. Laslett wrote me and said, oh, that was so lovely. Let's do it again next year. And the next year we did it again. Because at that time I used to play in a pub they call herd. And I used to leave there and come up to do this thing. I used to say, well, come on, why you come and join? Nobody in uniform. So that's how I got a few followers too. And then they decided, well, it's too cold. Change it to August. And that's how the August bank holiday started. But we had a couple of years running on the Sunday.
And that continued like that for a few years until people start forming, different things and committee and get it organized and call it Notting Hill Carnival.
The Festival of Britain in 1951 saw the Trinidad All Steel Percussion Orchestra play on London's South Bank, and in doing so, bringing the attention of steel pan on the world stage. Ironically, 61 years later, in 2012, in the same location, pan players from all over the UK constituted the 1,000 pan.
1,000 pans came about because 5 or 6 years ago, my boys started playing pan. The summer before 1,000 pans, they were playing in a steel band. It was a kind of a block-a-rama fun day. And we noticed that several of the bands played the standard Brazil. And my husband, Colin Salmon, is a trumpet player. So he just said, wouldn't it be amazing if we got 1,000 players together, 1,000 pans, to play Brazil for the handover? Because the Olympics were coming up. About 3 or 4 months later, I just thought, we've got to make this happen.
Teamwork. You must have that in a steel band. You must have discipline, and you must have the unity as well to get the proper execution of your rendition.
I asked a leader of one of the bands if they thought it could work, and they thought it could.
I told MD, he was the musical director, and he worked with these steel bands.
Brent organised the tune and did a very basic arrangement, which he made available to people regardless of whether they were in Newcastle or whether they were in Portsmouth.
So it was about not being in rival bands. It was nothing like Panorama or getting together when bands each play their own tunes. It was about being unified as one band.
The coming together of all the bands as well showed where the UK has got the unity to take forward an event that would benefit Pan as a whole. Because there's always this constant rivalry between bands when it comes to competition. This wasn't a competition. This was an actual concert.
They had like a full range of musicians. So you had people who were sort of like competition winners, playing alongside people who had literally just started to play. So kind of bringing all those people together and kind of like having people sharing the day, I think it was really reflective of the culture of Pan.
It was really wonderful, the coming together of everyone. So I felt the pioneers would be proud to see how it had, to see what they had first started and where it had gone. I think that people, the world needs to see how the beauty of this instrument and the virtuosity of the players.
It's an iconic event that has gone down in history.
It was a wonderful irony that from the pioneers who brought Pan and played in the South Bank 50 years ago to putting on that event with so many young players, and to see the diversity of Pan.
Steel pan is an instrument, that will bring people together. I look forward to the next 1,000 pans actually.